what's up? This is Shadow Rock and Pro 41 of the Flora Gangs and Knuckleneck Tribe. You're watching The Trays, a show about breaking, hip-hop, and the business of. And this is episode 24, damn, special Saturday edition. You know, I'm usually on at 6 p.m. on Thursdays, PST, but I had to, move it from a man. Let me talk about last Thursday's episode. We had B-Boy Why Not of the Rocksteady crew. He's out here in San Francisco. He's doing a show for City Dance Live that's on tonight. If you want to check that out, it's at the Palace of Fine Arts. You can check that out at Eventbrite, or you could go look up City Dance Live. They have featuring the Les Twins, Slim Boogie. I might check out the show tonight, you know, starting at 7 p.m. So if you want to get tickets, check it out right now on Eventbrite, City Dance Live on stage. Man, what more can I say? This is a very big honor. Let me start out and talk about how I discovered my guest today. So basically, I was on YouTube and sometimes I edit together little inspirational clips from KRS-One. And then I ran into this clip. He was on YouTube through Michael Wayne TV, and he was this guy that was original Zulu King's member and a Baby Spade, and I was like, wait, who is this guy? So I started listening to all the knowledge he had about hip hop. But what got me is that he was very knowledgeable about hip hop, but at the same time, he's a b-boy. And this is what I do in the show. It's I always wanted to do, ever since the Freshest Kids, they talked about how the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and Cubans had an effect on breaking. I always had that question, what about the African Americans? How did it look? And then no disrespect to Brooklyn and the rockers out there and what you guys are doing. And we've seen you guys, and you guys are out there online, but we barely, as b-boys, we barely get to see the original foundation of the moves and even the flavor and the attitude and the how they presented it. It had to be different, because even when when we watch Style Wars and Beat Street, the music was already affected by electro. So maybe even a different visualization of the music they are doing is different from the original guys, because the original guys is the breaks, right? Mostly the drum breaks. You're talking about Apache, you're talking about James Brown, and I didn't really see that connection when I watch a Style Wars, when I watch Beat Street, you know what I mean, or Wild Style. So saw this guy, saw he's a b-boy. Gotta give a shout out to Midas, because he put me on to Pluto's page, which is the 70s Beat Boy and rocking. And then I saw the guy I saw on YouTube, which is who I have today. From the original Zulu Kings, Baby Spades, we got my man, Cholly Rock. What's up, Charlie?
What's good, my brother? Peace to you. Peace to your family. Peace to your audience that's out there. Peace Kings, to all the Zulu Kings that are out there.
Yeah.
And peace Akis and Aki Peace and everyone else that's out there listening.
Yeah,
peace,
man.
peace.
This is a very big honor, like I said, because when I was watching the videos, he was talking about being at seeing Herc spin, and I don't hear that a lot as far as hearing talking to Legs, talking to Kenny, talking to I gotta adjust my light a little bit, talking to Wiggs. But then recently when I was doing more research on Cholly Rock, he was saying that he was there with the twins, with Clark Kent. And I need, and I need that perspective. We need to document this perspective from a b-boy standpoint. You know what I mean? From a guy that's trying to understand his craft. You have to go back, right? And that's why I picked Cholly Rock, man. So this is, like I said, this is trippy for me, because I never seen myself to be put in this position to put this information out there, but. You know what? I'd rather be first than last, right? I'd rather be come correct with no agenda, just wanting the truth and wanting perspectives and want to hear everyone's story. You know what I mean? And give them a platform. You know what I mean? So it's
absolutely,
crazy.
Absolutely, understandable, completely understandable. And I think more important to the fact is just like I tell people, I don't look at it any publicity for myself, because it doesn't concern me. It's not something that is an integral piece of my life. It's just something that I happen to have been at the forefront of when I was young.
Right.
And unbeknownst to us, we were making history, but we didn't know. We were just having a good time. We were just rebellious. We were keen to, sort of counterculture to what was going on in the black community at that time, which was disco.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were the counterculture to it.
Right.
And, none of us at that time knew we were making history or anything. We were just practicing and doing something that we loved doing, that we happen to have been good at.
Yeah.
And it morphed into what is today global culture.
Yeah.
But at that time, we didn't know any of that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
At least not me.
Right.
I don't think so. You know,
So,
for sure. So that's how that goes.
Yeah. So, in those YouTube clips, you're talking about that you started out with the burn dance, right? So, how did you come about that, and how old were you when you first started like doing that dance? Like, did you guys just call it the burn dance? Did you call it rocking? Did you call it up rocking? What was like your influences?
Well, what I would say is the precursor to breaking, the b-boy or the style of b-boy, the modern b-boy that you see today, was burning.
Right.
Also, some people refer to it as breaking, and the earliest of the people who call themselves breakers or burners. Some people use the term up rockers, I would say, or rockers. You hear Brooklyn cats say that.
Right.
But it was prior to going to the floor.
Right.
And that was when you were burning somebody, and that's in like the very early 70s. When I say the very early, like 71, 72. Right. Some people might even say the 60s. I didn't see them doing it. I was around then. I didn't see that. I was a little boy.
Right.
I've told you my age, so I'm born in 1960. So you figure 69, 70, which is the beginning of the gang culture in our area. Right. I was 9, 10 years old, so I saw it. It wasn't a part of it until maybe I was about 13. That's another story altogether. That's another question.
Right.
But that burning up rock thing, I would say, in the very early 70s. And a lot of the early people who go into the B-boys, the very, very first, like the Trixies, the Sasas, my man Dancing Dog, cats like that, are in that era of it. Right. Which is a lot of stand-up stuff. And they're our predecessor. They're like the ones who usher us in. Right. You know what I mean? And that's in like the early 70s. And a lot more women involved. A lot of girls who had reputations. Dancing Doll. My girl Dee Dee Lawrence. My girl Yolanda Miller, better known as Pokey. They were all burners and dancers. They didn't go down to the floor like we did because this wasn't, girls weren't really going to do that, although we had some later on. Yeah. But that early part, the very early progenitor of the modern B-boy is the one who was burning, and we call them breakers, and many of them refer to themselves as B-boys. Right. But they were more upright, and certainly what you would today call, they were more up rockers or rockers. Right. And you hear a lot of the gang members, were that too, when they were going to the clubs like the Tunnel and the Puzzle, which were very popular clubs in the Bronx, with the gangs in particular. Yeah. I was a baby spade, so they're a little older than me, but so they were going to those clubs that we couldn't get into yet. And that's like in the early 70s, 70, 71, 72, in that era. Yeah. The Tunnel, the Puzzle, even the Hevalo, which, as you know,
I heard a lot about
later give rise to my man Kool Herc, and that's where we come in later on as the, original first generation of the modern B-boy. Right.
So, so when so everything was done pretty much up top. When did you see it start to go down? Like, when did you see that transition from, like, you're doing little burns, you're doing little, like, humiliation moves to going down?
You're asking when from the humiliation moves to the floor stuff, right? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Okay. The floor stuff, I got to tell you, that's the Twins and Clark Kent at Kool Herc parties. And that's around 1974, 75. That's when I was seeing that. And the cats that I saw first were the Twins, Clark Kent, James Bond. You got people like South and Trixie. They were up rocker, really. They weren't really spinning on the floor and doing all that. They were more up rock. Right. The cats who really brought it down, which is the modern incarnation of the B-boy, the first generation, is Clark Kent, the Twins, Kevin and Keith. James Bond, cats like that. And a shout out especially to my brother Tyrone Smith, who is the original Clark Kent. All right? Bad boy. And see, the reason I tell you that is because most people, when they hear his name, they associate him almost strictly as Kool Herc's DJ protege, which is true. Right. But what he was before that is one of the original B-boys. And what we used to call, if you were really nice, and I'm sure you know this term, an A1 B-boy. Right.
You beat me to my second question. So So that's what I was going to get to. My second question was, what does A1 B-boy mean? And what does that mean to you?
An A1 B-boy?
Yeah. When did you start first hearing that?
The person who started that connotation was Kool Herc.
Okay.
All right, you have to have been to Kool Herc parties to really understand it. First of all, my shout out to the person who, I don't care what anyone says, the father of this culture, my man Clive Campbell, Kool Herc. That's who it is. If you were trying to do anything as far as a B-boy, this culture starts with the B-boy and the DJ. Right. The MC stuff and all that comes later. Yeah. Graffiti was a completely separate entity of it. Right. You know what I mean? There were people who practiced it, people who didn't. But this culture starts with the B-boy, all right, and the DJ. Yeah. And if you were a B-boy who was of any worth and you felt you were good, well, to prove yourself and apply your trade, you went to a Kool Herc party. That's as simple as that. That is the father of this, period. And so, you know, you're going to Kool Herc parties, and Kool Herc would be on the microphone sometime, but his man who was mainly on the mic was CHOLLY Rock. Right. Okay? Yeah. And, you know, you had Kool Herc, CHOLLY Rock. They had a DJ that no one talks about named Timmy Tim. I think Timmy passed away, but Timmy was part of it too. Nobody mentions Timmy, but if you were down back in the days, you know about Timmy Tim. And so Herc get on the mic, or Coke would get on the mic, and he's shouting out cats who are really somebody. El Dorado, Mike, you know, and they had an echo chamber going on. This was before rhyming. None of that, all the rhyme stuff wasn't even in existence, really. You know, and it's something like rock with the rockers, jam with the jammers, party with the partiers, play with the players, and parties with the freaks. Y'all rock, it don't stop. Rock, it don't stop. Rock on. And there's an echo chamber going on with all of that. And Herc is playing the B-boy, you know, Apache, Just Begun, and we're going on. And he's not playing, he doesn't just play that. He plays regular music too. He plays, you know, but Herc is playing joints, and cats don't know the name. Herc has his labels coming. And, you know, when he get on the mic, and he's like, hey, #1 B-boy, Clark Kent is in the house, y'all. Hey, #1 B-boy, the twins, and it's called, you know, the nigga twins. That's the terminology they use. We don't like that terminology used today, so they call them the legendary twins now, but back in the day, it was the nigga twins and all that kind of stuff. And so that's a A1 B-boy, #1 B-boy, #2 B-boy. And so Kool Herc is the person who started that label. And if you were ultra nice, you got the term A1 B-boy. And, you know, and if you weren't, first of all, if you didn't, you better not step in those circles and not have them. Right.
That's crazy. So, again, back to, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
James,
you're coming in and out. Give me a second. Hello?
Are you there?
Yeah,
I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to check on a few things. So as far as going back to the movement, right? So you
right.
When you saw twins or Clark Kent started to go down the floor, like, what was like the process? Was it just the going off that made them want to go to the floor? Was it like, were they inspired by other like movements, or what was the thing that made it like that? Like, was it just because, hey, you can only do so much on top? Like, what do you think was the thought going on as the dance was being created?
I can't tell you what their thought process is. You have to talk to them. What I would tell you is that I knew what burning was, and when I saw what they were doing, it was a totally different thing, and they were taking it to another level. And it's like anything else. When you take something to another level, if you come with some moves that are archaic, and here's these cats doing a brand new thing, and they're taking you out, you're going to want to do it the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And basically, once they started doing that, they made just standing and just up rocking, it became obsolete.
Right.
And that's just simply what happened. It's like anything else. You know, things evolve.
Right.
Things evolve. The landline phone was good for its time. You know what I mean? And it still has a purpose today, but, you know, pretty much standard is to have a cell phone, right?
Yeah. So, I mean,
you know what I mean?
So was that
kind of the thing? It evolved.
Was that the thing that attracted to you? It was like, whoa, they're starting to hit the floor, so I'm trying to do that. Like, was it one of those things? Like,
well, you know, you want to keep up. You know what I mean? You want to do your thing. You want to do what's being done and be good. And so it's like going back into the shed. to practice your craft.
Yeah.
You know, I had to do that. I'll tell you a story. You know, I'll tell you two stories. I remember I was dancing and b-boying, and this cat named Jerry Dunlap, who's deceased now. One of the very few times in my life I really got burnt with.
Oh, okay, here we go. Here we go.
And
this is what we want to hear.
1975.
Damn. All right.
And, you know, I said, oh, okay. And this was doing at a dance at a party. These cats, my friends from Bronx, I was burning a bunch of cats, and they said, we got somebody for you. And they brought Jerry Dunlap. So, you know, I got burned on. I said, all right. And it's like, if you get burnt, you know you're good, but you got to go back to the workshed. You got to go back into the lab.
Right.
And so I just went back into the lab, and I came back out on beats. And, you know, when I came back out of beats, that's actually when I started rocking with the Zulu Kings.
I see.
You know what I mean? But that's what brought that about. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As you experience certain things, you want to get better. You're like, this ain't going to happen to me again.
Right.
You want to do other things. So, you know, and I was already on the floor, but, you know, it was like making more spins and more moves. And you know, I was dancing with my crew at the time, the Gun Hill crew.
Gun Hill.
Right? And we had a bunch of cats. Yeah, the Gun Hill. Remember, I'm from, I know you're on the West Coast, but in the Bronx, right? I think I was telling you earlier in the conversation, you know, the Bronx is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City.
Right.
When people think uptown, they just think Manhattan. But,
exactly.
you know, New York City is comprised of 5 boroughs. So to us in New York, if you live in any one of the 5 boroughs, you're in the city, technically, the 5 boroughs.
Right.
So people just associated with Manhattan, and I live in the Bronx. And where I'm at in the Bronx is the North Bronx.
Yeah.
And, you know, the narrative of hip-hop, the stereotypical narrative, is, you know, they show, of course, the Bronx is just the South Bronx, and burned out buildings and all this stuff, and that these deprived kids made this culture because they didn't have anything, and, you know, that's a nice romantic stereotypical version of it all, but the reality is, you know, there are parts of the North Bronx, parts of the Bronx. I live in the North Bronx.
Right.
Well, people who had private houses, people had jobs, had middle class things. I grew up in the projects, but even the projects I grew up in, there were white people there, there were Latino people there, there were black people there was some of everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we had kids, you know, jobs, 2 parents, and everything like that. So it wasn't this narrative that people give, like these deprived kids who had nothing to do, and the starvation of the streets of the Bronx, they created their own thing. That sounds nice and romantic, but the reality is, you know, the Bronx represented anywhere else. There were people who were in middle class, there were people who were working class, there were people who were poor, there was some of everything. So, you know, where I was in the North Bronx is the Gun Hill Road area, which is the Williamsbridge area, and I grew up in Gun Hill Projects, and my friends from around that area, we were dancing. And, you know, most of us had been baby spades and young spades, and we wound up with the Gun Hill crew, and we were dancing. So that's my man, Shetty Mo, Cedric Ingram, my man, Byron Romero, B. Herrock, who was nasty. He was considered, we were all considered A1, but out of our crew, he was considered the A1, even though I felt Shetty was the best to me, you know. And, you know, I danced with them. And we were all friends, and I danced, and they were always surprised with me, because like I told you, I went to a school for gifted kids. I went to the Bronx High School of Science, which is a legendary public school for people that are academically gifted, you know, kind of high IQ kind of thing. And I was always that kid, you know, academically gifted, high IQ, who always ran around with kids in other classes, because you know, I was a kid who was a nerd who could fight. I could take care of myself. So that's kind of how I kind of gravitated into a lot of that stuff.
You're a guy you're a guy that walked on both lines of the road, right? Both sides of the road, right? Exactly your foot in both worlds. Scholar
by day and gangbanger thug by night. Yes, that's exactly what I was.
So you're saying you're a Batman?
Dual identity. Very much so. Very much. Clark Kent, Superman guy.
Clark Kent's too nice.
Batman, Bruce Wayne.
Exactly.
Exactly. That certainly would aptly describe how I was back then.
So
you know.
My question is, what was it when you got burnt? What was the move that you went? You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go practice. What was the move that you practiced? You're like, you know what? I'm not gonna take that. I'm gonna see this kid next week, and I'm gonna burn him. Like, what was the move that you had in your mind to, and like, you're like, this is what's gonna get him?
I can't say that I thought in that manner.
Okay.
What happened was, I can tell you the move when he was burning. I was spinning and doing all this, but Jay was doing some fast spins with some footwork. And then he had this bag of potato. He did a burning move, really, that really got me, which was a move. He was eating a bag of potato chips, and then he mushed the potato chip bag in my face. See?
What?
And I was like, oh, yeah. Hey, listen, man, you can't be a fighter if you can't talk about your losses.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know what I mean? And that's when I said, okay. So I said, to me, I was working on the footwork and the spins and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, the ones who were the exemplars was Clark Kent and the twins. They weren't, see, all that malicious stuff, that's more part of burning. When you doing the spin on the floor, that cats really wasn't doing as much of that. It was your footwork. It was your spins and everything. That's really what became, and that's what I started really getting into and practicing. And like I said, the exemplars were Clark Kent, the twins. Clark was a beast. Oh, and then you see, we start going to Flash parties where I started hearing about this cat named Flash. This before he was the Grand Master. We started hearing about Flash parties. And we go to Flash party, and that's how I met my man Fuji. And before I go anywhere, shout out to not only Tyrone Smith, my man, the original Clark Kent, but to my mellow, my brother, Tony Fuji Laland, Mr. Fuji, one of the baddest A1 B-boys that ever did it. And I remember when I saw Fuji, this was in 63 Park, right? We saw Fuji. Because my man said, he kept telling me, you got to see this cat Fuji, you got to see this cat Fuji. And so we're at the Flash party, and there's Fuji with Melly Mel.
Ah, okay,
Melly Mel was a B-boy before any MC stuff. And they had cats like Black Avery, Bumpy Face Melvin. Flash was a B-boy. People don't know that. Flash and Gene were all B-boys. They were flashing them, and they was rubber band. And Flash is a B-boy more from the Bernie era. You know what I mean? But before he was B, he was a dancer too. But Mel and Fuji was a bad boy. He would dance on his toes. Him and Mel, they used to dance on their toes like ballerinas.
Wow. Okay.
That's where I got that from, And Fuji was nasty. And see, people don't know about Fuji because Fuji got out of the game early. He got into other stuff. But Fuji's alive and well. That's my crimey. He's listening now. Fuji, love you, baby boy. All love to you.
Shout out to Fuji. I just added that guy, too. I saw you mention him in the interviews. It's like, oh, there he goes. I'm going to add him right now. Like, you know what I mean? So,
yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
When you guys, okay, so now we're going to go a little bit later. So, when you guys started to slow down from the dance, right? You guys started to, like, I guess, grow up and grow out of it. And then this is when you could, like, we could probably say in the timeline that mostly the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans and the Cubans started to pick up the dance themselves because you guys were, like, on your way out. You guys were, like, you know, we were probably, what, 17, 18
So you
at the
asking
time?
when that happened?
Yeah, like, what year was that? Like, and how old were you when you started to slow down for yourself?
Okay, well, around the time, and in order to tell that part of the story, I have to tell you about the Zulu King thing.
All right.
Because right around this time, like 75, 76, I started rocking with the Zulu Kings.
Okay.
Okay? And, you know, of course, there's always this discrepancy about when the Zulu Kings started, all this other stuff.
Right.
All I'm going to say, I'm not going to get into when start. All I'm going to tell you is, in 1973, we were still Black Spades.
Okay.
Do whatever math you want to do.
Right.
In 1973, we were still Black Spades.
Right.
The Bronx River Organization, which is the predecessor to the Zulu Kings, was founded by Bambaataa upon the death of his friend Solsky, who was president of the 10th Division of the Black Spades. Solsky was killed in January of 1975. Okay? I was at his wake. I'm telling you what I know. Factual.
Right.
Okay? And it's in the newspaper, so there's nothing, you know, when we talk about opinions, there is no opinion on that. That's the facts.
Right.
That's what happened. That's the chronological timeline.
Right.
So, you know, well, the Zulu Kings start after 1975. Okay, that you know, you do the math.
Right.
All right, and people can say whatever they want, but to do the math. So I got introduced. I heard about the Zulu Kings, and I danced and became a member of the Zulu Kings late 1975, early 1976. At a party at 123 Junior High School. In order to become a Zulu King, you had to dance and beat one of the founding five. Right. Either Shaka, which is my man Scorpy Reed, Wilbur Reed, Ahmed, William Henderson, who's Ahmed, Artie Jackson, who's Aziz, Kusa, who is Vincent, or Jonathan Lanier, who was better known as the African Prince. That was Bambaataa's protege at the time. DJ Protege was known as Zambu. Okay. Those are the founding five of the Zulu Kings. And of course you got Bambaataa, Mr. Biggs, and all of them. And you had to dance against one of that five and beat them. And that's how you became a Zulu King.
I see.
And I danced against and beat Zambu.
All right.
And in front of Bambaataa himself made me a Zulu King. And that's how I became one of the original 11 Zulu Kings. There are 5 original and only 6 of us who danced in and were named Zulu King. Right. And that I am one of those. Right. Okay, so that's how it happened. Yeah. All right, so, so that's where all of that came in.
Yeah.
And during that time, so my heyday in all of this is, remember, 74, 75,
Right.
and my real heyday, 76 to 78.
Okay.
All right. Around 78, most of us, like the Twins had already stopped. The Twins, they had stopped b-boying. Clark was DJing with Herc. He's Herc's DJ protege. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Zulu Kings, we're doing our thing on our side. That's the Soundview area of the Bronx. That's Bambaataa, Disco King Mario, may he rest in peace. Shout out to my man, one of the original DJs who put everybody on, Cool DJ D and Tyrone the Mixologist. All right?
Right.
Then, Tex DJ Hollywood. And you got all those guys I mentioned, and of course Bambaataa.
Right.
And all of them are black spades.
Right. Okay.
Every last one.
Got it.
Okay? Are all black spades. And so, you know, so Soundview was its own spot, its own area.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we're doing our thing, and you got to remember, in the spades, there were always blacks, Puerto Ricans, even two white guys.
Damn.
White Bertie, White Tom. Yeah.
White Tom.
You know? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, all this, well, it's against the Puerto Ricans and the Latinos, that's bull crap. We always were together.
Right.
And you know, but people like to exploit those kind of differentiations, but the reality, we were always together.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But as far as b-boying is concerned, see, right around 77, 78, you know, we had stopped. We were getting older by this time. You got to remember, I told you my age, I'm 56.
Right.
When we were first starting this, I was 14 years old, 15 years old.
Okay.
And so by the time we were ending, I'm 18 years old, right?
Okay,
we're all 18 years old, 19, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
We're getting too old for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Girls want cats that's hustling, making money.
Yeah.
We're dressing now. You know, we're still wearing stitches, but, you know, we're in cornfields. You know, and we're not going to be spinning on the floor. You know, by this time, new dance, the freak dance came out. Yeah. You know, and all that kind of stuff. So we're doing the freak dance and all these other dances and doing our thing. And, you know, we were kind of just gradually out of b-boying. But who kept it going were the Puerto Rican kids.
Right.
Okay? They kept it going. And that's when you see those things, they're doing that line. They're all standing in a line and they're doing that thing with the little footwork and dropping down. But they're not spinning. They're just dropping down and everything. Sort of like that up rock thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is in the late 70s. And now hip-hop, or what comes to be known as hip-hop, is starting to move in this other direction with the MC. You know, that's when the MC starts coming in. Even though the MC is there, because I was MCing for Bambaataa too, with Soul Sonic. But, you know, the MC, especially once the record, Raps the Light, comes out, now there's an industry. Now there's people want to be, you know, they want to be recording artists. Everybody wants to be a recording artist. This and that and the other.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and then you got Theodore, who around 78 is doing the scratching thing. He becomes, you know, with that. Yeah. And so the DJs, now it's starting to get into the scratching. You know, Flash had already brought the technique of the turntable and you know, everything like that. The precision of cutting and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Theodore takes it to another level with scratching.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You got my man DST, Derek.
Yep. Peace,
my boy, you know, and get to the turntablism, using the turntable as an instrument. Obviously with Rock and Herbie Hancock. Yep. You know, that's who does that. Yeah. You know, and that's original B-boy. That was my B-boy crimey once upon a time. You know, I'm talking about 75, 76, in that era. Right. All right? We were doing our thing. You know, but me and Derek, me and DST, in fact, his name DST originally meant D Street. And the reason was he used to hang down in Alphabet City, the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Okay. Which is known as one of the streets there is called Delancey Street. Right. And the nickname of Delancey Street, for anybody from New York City, is called D Street.
Okay.
All right?
I see where this is going.
That's where his DST originally comes from.
Okay.
But as time went, time went on, he went to being known as Grand Mixer DST.
Yep. There you go.
But that's right. But that's where the name comes from, because he used to hang down in the Lower East Side on Delancey Street. But in any event, go ahead. Yeah. So he's doing his thing with the turntablism, and the reason all this is important is because the dancing after a while got kind of lost. Right. People were standing around, they watched the DJ, doing little, my man Africa Islam and all of them are doing, scratching it, doing all that. Or they stand around waiting for the MCs to start their little show. Right. And all this other kind of stuff. And, you know, in doing all of that, you know, waiting for the DJ to start his show, and everything, the dancing got lost in it.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then on top, as far as B-boys, we're old. We're not really into that anymore.
Yeah.
You know? And the Puerto Rican cats, they're taking that over.
Right.
So get around 81, 82, 83, in that era,
right.
You know, Bam and them, particularly Bambaataa, I got to give him credit with this. Bam starts going down playing in the Village.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And he gets introduced into the art scene because right around this time, the art scene is starting to embrace and discover, for lack of a better term, the graffiti artist.
Yeah.
And they're looking at the graffiti artist as a viable form of art. You've got Jean-Paul Basquiat, what's my name? Keith Haring, and all these other guys. Yeah. And then they discover Fat Box Freddy and all these other
then
people.
Charles Ahern and then Martha Cooper start like documenting it, like, you know, taking pictures and stuff like that.
Exactly. So Bam and them are now being introduced music-wise down into that art scene.
Right.
And so Bam is playing, and we used to go down there and go to the clubs, like in the Grill, Cafeteria, all them spots that Bam was playing. Yeah. And then we start hearing and seeing these kids called Rocksteady. Right. And that's the first time I'm hearing of them, you know, because like I said, I left Soul Sonic Force to go away to college. I went to undergrad. I went to New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz, and went away to school. I come back, and I'm doing my other thing. I'm hustling. I'm doing a lot of things. You know, I had a lot of street stuff. And so, you know, you know what I mean? I was into other stuff. Right. And so I go downtown, and I see Bam, and we're all down there in the Village, and I'm seeing these kids rock steady, and the white people are like, rock steady. I'm like, really? And, you know, and here these little Puerto Rican dudes, they're doing a little thing, and then B-boy, and we're like, oh, okay, this B-boy thing came back, you know. Right. And we're not thinking anything of it, but next thing, of course, some things are always about time and opportunity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And these happen to be the guys who, at this time, white people are paying attention and doing this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, they're in Flashdance. Right. Then next thing you know, there's a movie, you know, you got Wild Style, of course.
Star Wars,
and then next thing you know, Beach Street. Right. Like, even the guy who wrote Beach Street, Steve Hagen. Right. I'm in Steve Hagen's very first article on hip-hop. Okay. He interviewed me in his very first article, the one in the Village Voice. Oh, shit. They did with Bam and everybody. So, you know, all of these different things. So, like I said, we turn around and we see and hear all of this. So, I've always given the Latino, the Hispanic brothers, the credit for keeping it going. They were like the bridge. Right. That allowed a Rocksteady to be there and pick up and exist and, you know, gain their fame. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But what it started with was us as brothers doing our thing in the mid-'70s. All right, so this you know what I mean? Yeah, that's how it evolved.
So this is my question. So from the time, so that's like quite some time, like that's 78 to like, you go to the Grills, right? That's like what, 82?
81, 82? Yeah.
So for you, did the dance change a lot compared to when you guys were doing it and from when you saw like Legs in them? Or was it like pretty much yeah, go ahead.
I'll tell you the key change to me. Right. All right? Okay. Now, I'm a dancer. Right. I'm a dancer. Yeah. I'm a B-boy, but I used to hustle. I could dance. Any dance that was out, I could do. Right. And I was well known with it. And I had a, you know, and women love dudes that can dance. Don't get it ever twisted.
Oh, no, I know.
You'll get a lot, you know, women love brothers that can dance.
Because that simulates a certain thing.
Yeah. Well, it's a direct correlation to sex with them. They exactly. Right. So, and, you know, so that's what it was. Yeah. All right? But the part of dancing is, I don't care what kind of dance you're doing. Mm-hmm. If you're doing dancing to music, you need to be in beat with music.
Oh.
Okay? Okay. And to me, that's the key difference. You had these dudes, they were doing all this acrobatic stuff. That's nice. Right. But you're not dancing. You're just doing acrobatics.
Oh. Okay.
You understand what I mean? Like, when we were dancing, we get out there, we went off on the floor, but it was to the beat of the music.
Right. Okay. And that's, I guess,
you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, and you know what? And this is where I was trying to, you know, and for those, I gotta give a shout out to my boys in Mex One. You know, Mex One, he's a promoter. And, you know, we had a conversation a few years ago, and the thing is, like, for him, Star Wars, B Street is the Bible. You know what I mean? And for me, I was like, yo, but if the twins are involved, DST's involved, they're all African American. How did it look? There's no way a Top Rock, you know what I mean? Like, and then I saw the videos of you doing a little bit, and I saw that it was a little bit more funkier than when you do a cross step, when we do a cross step now. And that's my main point. Like, there had to be, and that's one thing about, if you follow the trends right now that's going on in breaking right now, is that people are actually going back. My man Abby from TBB said, it's actually going back. People are trying to get the dance back into breaking.
They're trying to get back to the dance element of it and not the acrobatic element of it.
Yeah. And
it's interesting. I'll tell you the other difference.
Okay.
Is that, like, when we were dancing, we just went off.
Right.
And we innovated and did whatever came to our brain. Right. There were also, there were routines to it. We used to do comical stuff. I remember one of my partners I used to dance with, may rest in peace, was my man Little Monk, Zulu King Monk. Okay, if you ever hear his name. And me and him used to dance together all the time. We used to do these little routines, and one of the routines we used to do is we both be dancing, doing our moves, and then I'd get on these like a dog, and he'd walk me, we'd put a leash on me, like put a leash on me, and walk me around the circle. Because remember, you're in a circle. Right. And we'd be in a circle, and he'd walk me around like a dog, and then I'd pick whoever we were dancing against, right? We'd go to them, and I'd lift my leg like I'm peeing on them. Like, right. You know what I mean? I might rise, do something, do a freeze while I rise to the dead. We'd do some stuff. We playing cards with each other. Right. We'd do this thing I used to be able to do, because I'm not as flexible. Obviously, I don't do this anymore, so I don't dance like that. Right. But I was able to do something where I could be like, I can't explain it to you, but I'll be on the floor, and I could propel myself with my feet in a way where I could move forward. Okay. And I would do it in a way where I was like, steering wheel, it was like a car. I was driving a car and propel across the floor. Right. Things like that. Right. So, we had routines, we had steps, we had comical stuff. Right. You know what I mean? Right. All of that existed back then. When I see the later ones, they had some nice moves. Some of them, and what changed things, the major difference, and I need to say this, that allowed Rocksteady, all the other groups later on, to be able to do what they were able to do, is cardboard and linoleum. Right. Because they get spin on it and stuff like that, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially that spinning on your head spins. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I guess if we were in the gym, we could have thought about that, but man, we were outside. Right. My man Fuji would tell, we scream, no cardboard, no linoleum. We rocked on concrete, burnt out countless pairs of sneakers, picked out countless pieces of glass out of our hands. Concrete. Right. Okay? Yeah. No cardboard. Yeah. No linoleum. And that makes a huge difference. It allows for innovation that they made in those later things that we weren't doing just because simply, we couldn't. Right. You know what I mean? We weren't thinking in that way. It allowed them to do some things that we didn't get to do. Right. And so that is a major. You asked me the difference is those two things. Right. Not being in beat with the music, just kind of doing any old move. Right. And without regard to the beat, it became much more about acrobatics than it did dancing. Yeah. And also the no cardboard, no linoleum. The best analogy I could give you, and I look at dancers, like I said, I'm a dancer. Right. And the difference I could give you is Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. Right. Okay? Yeah. I am a Fred Astaire person. I see. All right? Not taking away, because my favorite is obviously the Nicholas brothers. That's my crew. Yeah. All right? Yeah. That's another story. Those are my brothers. But in terms of comparing Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, he's the top hat with the his thing is finesse, a style. He was powerful. But his thing was very class finesse. Gene Kelly was much more about acrobatics. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's cool, but I'm much more of a finesse person. Right. All right? Yeah. And I like that smoothness of it. Yeah. I like that smoothness of it. And that's... I need to hear that. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's like, and this is one thing, it's like, I like it all. You know what I mean? I try to do everything. Yeah, that's my thing. You try to be like, one-man army. But the thing is, what I feel like, right now, like, even with, it's really scientific right now. Even if you don't do power moves, or, like, the footwork super... Like, I'm a super scientist when it comes to footwork. But I want to put that funk in it still. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing. You know what I mean? That's like... Yeah. That's and we were much funkier. Yeah. I will tell you in no uncertain terms. Yeah. Like I said, our thing was in the beat, because, the music, it's funny, you mentioned Beat Street, right? And you have people who say that's the Bible. And I laugh at that, because I tell Beat Street is so fantasized. Right. I mean, even in fact, I'll give you a very good example. This is the example that you're running. You got the battle that takes place in the rock scene. Right? Yeah. They're dancing. None of that is B-boy music. Right. None of it. Right. That's all some techno, you know,
Yeah.
whatever the hell that is. You know what I mean? We didn't.
Well, you know, it's influenced by Planet Rock for sure, right? It was like by that.
Right.
Song.
Well, even Planet Rock. I mean, Planet Rock, and with Planet Rock, you got to go into the head of Africa Bambaataa. Bambaataa, my man. All right. Even regardless of the things that are going on in his life, my man, somebody I've known over 40 years, made Zulu King.
Right.
Himself.
Right.
Okay, dancing in front of him and rocking his crew.
Yeah.
All right. That's a fact. All right. And Bam, I love Bam to death. You know, and you got to catch a shout out to my man, Wade Lewis, founder of the Shaka Zulu. Peace to you, King. Love you always. And to my Zulu King family, without a doubt. So, you know, you got to understand, Bam has always been into the intergalactic thing.
Right.
Bam is a guy of many, many doctrines.
Right.
And so when he did Planet Rock is very much a reflection of his ideologies and mindset.
Right.
You know, he has always seen, you know, things from this intergalactic perspective.
Right.
I remember him being on Like It Is with Gil Noble. You know the TV show Like It Is?
No, I don't.
With Gil Noble used to come on years ago. Gil Noble's dead now. And I saw Bam, and he was interviewing Bam, and Bam said something about having Zulu Nation colonies on Mars. And he said that.
Right.
I mean, you know.
Sounds like something Bam would say for sure.
Yeah, there you go. You know what I mean? And so that's always the band. So that Planet Rock has that intergalactic. I mean, it ushered in an era now. Don't get it twisted. It's a seminal moment in the music of electro funk and all that in hip hop.
It even influences music today. You know, when we listen to trap music and like the 808 drums and the hi hats, it's all like from that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all from that.
Exactly. Bam ushered in something, but you need to understand, as original b-boys, we didn't dance to any of that. There wasn't even. I mean, you know, the closest you might come to that is Kraftwerk. Right. Yeah. And Kraftwerk, you had some people who went off to that, but that really wasn't a b-boy song.
Right.
A b-boy song is just begun.
There you go.
Original b-boy music, original breakbeats, original b-boy music, and then once again, this goes back to Kool Herc, the father.
Yeah.
All right, because most of the b-boy records were obscure records. They were not records that were part of the mainstream top 40. With maybe one or two. Scorpio was one of the few that is. Africano by Earth, the original version of Africano by Earth, Wind and Fire. And those were burning records initially, and then they became b-boy records. Those are the earliest records of burning and b-boying. Scorpio, Africano, things like that. But then as you get on, we're talking about Apache, Just Begun, Shaft in Africa. You know, Yellow Sunshine, the canon. The canon of b-boy music. The canon. All right, and of course, once you get to Bam, it really expands because, you know, the master records, Bam play all kinds of crazy beats, and that's how Bam got known. You know? Master records. But that's the thing. So, you know, when you're in Beach Street, there's no b-boy music in Beach Street. Anywhere out the movie. And I don't, probably they had a problem maybe getting licensing.
Probably, for sure. There's, you know, to get a James
Brown
I mean?
song. More likely than not, that's what happened. So it was less expensive for them to do it that way, I guess. But there is no b-boy music in any of that movie. So again, if they want to talk about it, the Bible, how can it be? When there's the essential element that we went off to is not in it.
It's more nostalgic, probably, from growing up, and I get it. You know, I grew up in that era too. But when I started to hear it, and this is funny for me, it's like '95. I started to hear, oh wait, y'all didn't, you know, dance to Planet Rock, and they're like, no, we danced to this. We danced to Apache. We danced, you know, because what we knew about Apache was that song Break Dance, and it was like West Side Mob. It was like a remix with a little Apache like drum beat in that.
Things like that.
But when we found Apache, we were like, oh shit, this is the actual song, because we saw New York City Breakers for the inauguration for Ronald Reagan. And we're like, what song is that? You know, and then you know, like I said, like mid-90s, we started to discover, and shouts out to Breakbeat Lou, like, you know, if it wasn't for him to, like, you know, document these songs into that compilation album, like, a lot of us in the West Coast wouldn't really know about it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So we wouldn't know. It was Ultimate Breaks and Beats. That's a friend of mine. And this is going to lead to my next question. Breakbeat Lou mentioned the crew from the Bronx called the Mexicans. I was like, there's a crew called the Mexicans? Like, he's like, yeah, oh yeah. You know what I mean?
I never knew that. I never knew that.
See, that's what I mean. Like, so, and this is this question is from my man K1. He's a mentor of mine. He's a Brooklyn b-boy. He came later. He's really close to Frosty Freeze. And just like what you said earlier, he's like, you know, we went down to like how it was, but name some of the crews that were getting down when you were really active, when you were really, like, besides Zulu Kings and Gun Hill, what were some of the other crews that are out there that you saw?
Okay, to be that down, this is to really give you the history. Right. There weren't a lot of crews in the way that people envision crews, such as Rocksteady, the New York City Breakers, the Bronx Boys. There weren't really a lot of crews like that in the beginning. You just had cats who hung together, who happened to dance in their particular neighborhoods. You know what I mean? It's like it sort of was a reflection of the gang culture, because different neighborhoods had different gangs, different crews, and you know, if you were in the neighborhood, their crew was in the neighborhood, and you know, it depended on who was DJing. Like you know, we had the Gun Hill crew because we were all from Gun Hill, and we had a division of the Black Phase up there. It was 22nd Division. That's what I was part of. And as that phased out, you know, we were younger cats and doing our thing. We had the Gun Hill crew, and several of us were B-boys. So we were the Gun Hill crew, and we were B-boys. You had Edenwald Projects, and they had a gang, Intercrime. So they had their little crew, the Edenwald crew. You know what I mean? But it wasn't crews in the sense of the Zulu Kings. The first real dance crew, as a dance crew, to really say a dance crew, is the Zulu Kings. That's us.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But even before that, you had a crew like my man Fuji and them. They had their own little crew that was known as the D Squad.
D Squad.
The D Squad. That's part of Flash's crew.
Okay.
You had Cool Herc, and they called it for the Herculoids. But the Herculoid was originally the name of Herc's sound system. Okay? And so then, you know, you have people say the Herculoids. That was their crew, you know. So you had Clark Kent, the Twins. We know that's Cool Herc's crew. But, you know, it wasn't like a crew like the Zulu Kings and later on Rocksteady, the New York City Breakers, TBB, the Bronx Boys, next thing, and, you know, the Rockwellers. So now you have all of these crews, and I started really hearing more about these crews, to be honest. I started hearing more about them in the 80s when we had already stopped dancing. That's when you really started hearing about the different crews and everything. But, you know, if you went into any neighborhood, you went against whoever their best were. You know, you went against whoever their best were. We had Uptown and Northeast Bronx, cats I didn't mention. Breakout, DJ Breakout of the Funky 4 plus one more. B-Boy. B-Boy.
There you go.
Bad. A1. Breakout's name came because we were at the prom for their school, 135, which is a junior high school up by us. You know, a lot of where you went to school had to do with the neighborhood you were in. I went to Olinville Junior High School, and me and my crew, Seti came from downtown. I think he went to Herman Ritter or what. Seti was from Boston Road downtown and moved uptown to Gun Hill by us.
I see.
My man Byron was in 113 with me. Byron, we were all in 113. And Breakout and them were in a school down the block who was a rival school to us called 135. And they went to another school called 78. Junior PS 78. Breakout and them, they had a prom at 135, and Breakout had broken his leg. And he had a cast on his leg. And he went off b-boying with the cast on his leg. Dancing. Burning niggas. With cast on his leg. And that's how he got the name Breakout.
Wow.
And eventually became a DJ, part of them by, you know, all our crew, and Breakout, and, you know, the rest is history, of course. The Funky 4 plus one more with my girl CHOLLY ROCK, you know, and everything. But I remember when Breakout didn't have no DJ crew. He had one DJ, KK Rockwell. And welcome home to my man KK. He just came home recently. Welcome home to you, brother, and Zulu love. KK's a Zulu King, actually, part of the Zulu Nation. But that was Breakout's first MC. You know, he's the original of the Funky 4. He's the first original MC of what later became the Funky 4 plus one more.
Crazy.
You know? So I say all that to say that the majority of cats who have been later on DJs and MCs were originally B-boys. And originally as B-boys, you either went to a Cool Herc party, later on as Flash became a Flash party, and if you were outside of town, Soundview area, Bambada, Disco King Mario, Tex DJ Hollywood, you know, Cool DJ D, the Soundview DJ area DJs. All right? But the thing that differentiated everything, you know, was the fact that most of the mainstream DJs who play for adult crowds did not play B-boy music, and they did not like B-boys, and they did not want B-boy music, which is the essence of hip-hop, in their parties or in their clubs. You see? And that is the line of demarcation. You see, you have all these people later on now because, of course, hip-hop became the predominant culture, and that's where the money is. So you have all these people who want to claim they were down with this and that and the other. That's bullshit. You weren't down with it. You didn't like it. You didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. That's and what's crazy right now, and this is what I was kind of like talking about before we went on air, is that right now it's like this big circle, because like I said, for those who watch the show regularly and are most of you guys are b-boys, is that it's about to go to the Youth Olympics, and it's basically a tester to get into the Adult Olympics. So it's like this big circle.
That's what demonstration sports.
Yeah. It's this big circle of now, because rap right now is so distant from the original culture and feel of it that breaking is actually coming back. No, I wouldn't say mainstream, but that when people think of hip hop, I think they're gonna think of breaking more than rapping now at this point. Where I see it. So how does it feel that even this interview, right? Like you said earlier, on Michael Wayne TV, it was your region. It was the guy trying to represent that region, know the history of the region. Because when I was watching the interview, it was like, this guy doesn't really know a lot of anything of the hip hop stuff you were saying. Like, as far as when he was like, you mean Electric Boogie is not from I'm like, nah, man. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. You didn't watch Soul Train?
It's a West Coast kind of thing.
Yeah. That's no disrespect, Electric Boogie is like East Coast version of what we did popping out here. And I can tell you about some guys that are your age that giving a shout out to BRS. These guys are your age that were dancing for the Black Panthers in Oakland. That they have a little bit disputes with the Electric Boogaloos of who started it first. Was it Oakland or LA? I'll get into we could get into that, but they're those guys represent here in the Bay Area. And it's just but that's not everyone knows that. But like I said, you already knew I never did Electric Boogie. Even Wiggles was well, we did it. It was kind of we were copying the West Coast. We had our own version, and we can get into that later on in the history with Latin quarters and all that type of stuff. The stuff that became modern hip hop dance. Give a shout out to the guys that that were African American that took that b-boy feel, added to their thing, went to Latin quarters, represented there, and that spread all over the world, and not associating it with what you guys created, but they were, they're a product of y'all. You know what I mean? Which is which influences us. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what happened is that all the Latin quarter stuff and Electric Boogaloo and all that other stuff, that benefited from the light of media.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? As we talked before, you asked about, there really isn't any footage of us in the 70s.
Yeah.
And, I know that Herc, I know he does, has reel-to-reel footage that he has that is his personal property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Herc is my man. And shout out to the part, that's my man. I love him to death. And I know people out there, this is where Herc, I don't give a shit. That's my man. Right. Plain and simple. The father of it all. Yeah. They can say whatever they want. That's what I'm telling you on record, plain and simple. And, so Herc may have old footage of old original B-boys, but for the most part, there's really no footage of us because nobody knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Once again, we were having a good time doing what we were doing, loving what we were doing. Nobody knew, that it was going to be. So people like the Rocksteadies and all of them, they benefited from being in the right place at the right time, media, the exposure by whites. White people like to feel they discovered things, and all that kind of stuff. They discovered something that we had been doing since 1974, 75, and stopped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got that whole piece in it. And they benefited from it. And that's cool. I don't begrudge anybody any of that. Right. My thing is, when you tell the story, tell your story. Don't tell another story if that's like me telling, because I was in the military, I'm telling stories about Vietnam.
Right.
And I was nowhere near Vietnam.
Yeah, it's very dumb.
Some old soldiers told me, so now I'm telling to you like I'm a Greek veteran. I ain't had shit to do with that here.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's and that's, you know what I mean? Get it where you fit. You have enough of a legacy of your own to tell your own story without creating other stuff. That just isn't, and especially when most of us were alive, and we can sit here and tell you based on our experience because we were doing it, we were there, that's not what happened. Right. And when we tell you what did happen, at least respect it, ask a question, and say, yo, really, you were there, like you're doing, like other people are doing with me and others, not just me, other people. Yeah. You need to talk to my brothers like
oh, yeah.
You know, so you need to talk to brothers like Clark Kent who can tell you the truth of things, who can tell you what really happened. You need to talk to the CHOLLY Rock, the Hurt, or the Breakout. There's lots of people who don't get talked to because you have other people who have their own reasons, want to, you know, monopolize because they want to make themselves relevant or whatever. And that's cool. That's what you need to do. If you want to do whatever, but, you know, like I said, tell the truth.
Yeah.
And that's the way that is.
And that's the whole point, you know, like I said, I reached out to you because, like, I feel like there's no agenda. You just want the truth out there. And that's the same thing for me. I'm a student, you know, and I'm trying to, like, broaden the perspective. That's all I'm trying to do. Let's broaden the perspective. Let's, like, you know, like, let's see, you know, just like that. There's there's no voice.
I'm telling you, give you some insight into things that happen. Like I said, even when Michael Wayne came to me, you know, no beef with him, we're cool. Part of what it started with me was because they were coming with some things that I had to refute, actually. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't a question of me, you know, they got to me because they were telling a story that went against Kool Herc and Bambaataa, and I had to say, well, no, that's not true. Here's what happened. You know what I mean? And that's how that whole thing started.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yo, we've done definitely more than 30 minutes. Usually this is a 30-minute show, but we got to continue this, actually. We got to do a part 2. We got to do a part 2.
It's a pleasure.
We got to do a part 2.
I appreciate the respectful nature of your questions. I appreciate, you know, like I said, I like to talk about the fun. I have friends who like, yo, Cholly Rock, don't be giving all that, you know, and I'm not, because there's things that me and my people are doing that we are going to do, and that's for us. You know what I mean? Some of my crew, I won't mention no names, but you know who they are, because I showed them Crazy Love in the beginning, so you already know who they are. But, you know, like I said, we going to do some things, you know, but at the same time, I love talking about past and what happened, and just talking about my experiences with it. It isn't a question of, you know, like I said, I hold a master's, working on a doctorate. I do all of those various things. I have a job. I have a profession as an educator, as a teacher, and all those kind of wonderful things. It has nothing at all to do with hip-hop at all. That just happened to be a part of my life. There was a fun part, and like anybody else who grew up having fun doing something, we like to talk about it and talk about what was true and not see people make up a lot of craziness about it.
Nah, that's real. Nah, this ain't the last, and hopefully I can get out there to the East Coast, and maybe we could do one really live where I'm actually there and, you know, sitting and talking to you, like, instead of just through the phone and stuff like that. But
it would be a pleasure. It would be an honor. It would be a pleasure, and hopefully, you know, I can include a couple of my friends.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh no, bring them all. Bring them all.
Kent, man, if they were agreed with it, because like I said, those are my brothers. Those two especially. Those are my brothers. And you know, quick shout out to my man Ben Silk and Fool Kyle. We're, you know, me and Kyle French grew up together since we were little boys, and we're into this. Like I said, my crimies, Fuji and Clark Kent, the twins. You know, as I said, hip hop starts from the ground up, and it starts with the b-boy. We are the original celebrities of it.
You hear it here first.
We are the original celebrities. The b-boy is the essence, the X factor, the variable of hip hop, of what came to be known as hip hop. It starts with the records. It starts with the DJs who played it, and it wasn't everybody. And the father is Kool Herc, and who brought the Trinity. Kool Herc brought the blueprint. Flash modernized the technique. Bambaataa expanded the playlist and really helped it to cross over into the mainstream and everything like that. It was a Zulu Nation and everything like that. But this culture would not, if it wasn't for the b-boy, it would just be disco. That's all it would be. Just
and that's where rap music is going anyways, going back to the disco.
That's what it would be.
That's what it is now, so we're the only ones to uphold that essence, man.
That's right. That's absolutely right. The essence of this is the b-boy and the music that we dance to, b-boy beats. And not everybody, and not every DJ played it. Other DJs didn't want to play it because they didn't like us. They called us floor. The term hip hop, even though it was popularized by Cowboy, okay, the term itself in its beginnings was a derogatory term for b-boys.
Right. Yeah.
Because we bounced up and down. They called us hippity hoppers, floor sweepers, boy yoings, rabbits, all this other stuff. You know, jitterbugs, all these other things. All right? That's where it comes from. But I am telling you, as an original b-boy, this culture.
There you go.
So when you're doing your thing,
There
you are the essence of this culture. I don't give a shit what nobody says. Even the MC, and that's what really commercialized it.
Right,
Once
exactly,
MC
exactly,
started making
exactly.
Rap is the commercialized definition of what hip hop came to be.
Right. Right.
The real flavor and essence of this culture is the music, meaning the b-boy beats, the original b-boy beats, and the b-boy.
There you go. There you go. You heard it here
right?
first.
And of course the DJ, like
Yeah.
I said.
Yeah. We can't dance without the DJ, but you know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like,
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
yo.
The DJ, the music, and the b-boy. That's the essence of this culture.
Oh, man. All right. So I'm about to sign off. Where can they find you on your social media? Where can they find you? If you want people to find you.
I stay very quiet. I mean, I'm on Facebook, Anthony G. Horn, and that's the thing that throws people off, because when they see my government name, they're like, that's Cholly Rock, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's me. Because, like I said, I grew up. I just went about my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing. And I, you know, I'm not on social media in a way where I'm trying, like I said, those videos with things that somebody did, but and Facebook, Anthony G. Horn is my government name, and that's how someone, if they wanted to find me and talk to me about it, that's how they would.
I think you might get a lot of messages soon.
It's possibly, as long as it's respectful, I'm good with it.
No,
I'm good with it. And I hope they understand everything I told them is just the truth about the history and the culture. And there's plenty more, man. Listen,
oh, no. This ain't done. This ain't done. This has been an hour, and I'm still like, I want, but just for time's sake and just to keep you on and keep you in the loop, you know, we got to do this again.
Oh, without a doubt. And like I said, once again, shout out to my brothers, Fuji, Clark Kent, the twins, James Bond. Those who are not here, man. Peace, rest in peace to my man Ed LaRock. You know, to my sister Queen Kenya, Pepsi, Amber Carter, one of the first Zulu Queens, one of Bambaata's first female MC, Queen Kenya. Okay? One of Bambaata's very first female MC is Queen Kenya. And later on, of course, Lisa Lee, you know, one of the first female of Soul Sonic Force, you know, all of them, you know, Shout Rock. Shout out to all the people. My girl, Queen Trina, one of the original Zulu Queen B-Girls. Queen Trina, rest in peace to Kim Anderson, Tapes, original B-Girls, that kind of stuff like that. Yeah, more to tell you. There's more.
Every time I gotta sign out, man. I'm gonna hit you up right after, but I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna do my rundown, which is usually where I do the events of the year, and then I'll hit you back right back up. All right, peace, bro.
Peace. Take care.
Yeah. Oh man, what a good show. Oh, so much knowledge, man. So much knowledge, and that wasn't even like the tip of the iceberg. That was just like, I didn't even get deep. But this is stuff that, like I said, you know, we're going to continue this with Cholly Rock. Give a shout out to Cholly Rock. Give it a shout out to Midas, Pluto. Give it a shout out to Fuji. Yo, I just added you. Yo, I hope you're watching, man. You know, the twins, Clark Kent. Yo, Sasa, Coke Rock. Yo, I'm going to get in contact. Because if no one else is going to do it in this B-boy scene, I will do it. That's the point of the trade, you know what I mean? We're trading, exchanging. Yo, this is one hell of a trade. It's been an hour, but yo, we're gonna continue this. So you can find me on this channel, facebook.com/profo1, capital FLGZ, or on Instagram at PROFO_FLGZ. And you can hashtag us at the Trades B-Boy. Peace to everyone. Peace to Cholly Rock. We're going to keep doing that research, dig deeper as this scene progresses. Peace and I'm out.